All right, on tonight's show, we have quite a number of events lined up. I'm going to start this off by doing what I usually do, which is mess with the settings a little bit after it begins, and then we can fully resume our commentary fest. What's the proper? What was the word of this? I've been talking to this person for a couple of days now, who I met about 2 years ago, at least in 2018. We actually spoke one time the year before, but we didn't really interact that heavily up until the last few weeks. And it was really, it's been nice just to have someone that seems to be knowledgeable of certain things. But I've noticed this recurring pattern where when you talk to individuals that are, I guess, I don't want to say older, but certainly of a more experienced brand, they have this just call it naivete to a lot of the points I've made about the chick stuff, to where you can sit here, you can say, "Hey, I can give you all these different screenshots, um, I guess anecdotal stories, stuff to basically further my point about how the situation with broads is just a complete waste of time." And they'll just reject that evidence. And I said, "Listen, if you want to believe everyone's gonna meet some magic bimbo, it's cool. But remember, you're trying to convince me that what I have proof of is going to suddenly be overturned, not the other way around." So it's been decent other than that. But like I said, I'm so used to people doing it at this point. I don't even really get that worked up about it because that's how they roll. Oh, now the camera's acting all goofy. Let me turn this on, see if it improves it. It's got some kind of motion sensor thing going on. Oh, we have the musical stream. You start off with five, you go to two. Yeah, I'm so done with YouTube. It's just such a. I do intend to make the video on why hard work doesn't matter, and that would come out maybe a week from now. I finally got around to writing out the whole script for that one romance video. I'm probably going to put out uh, maybe on Friday at some point during this week. I have to edit it to release it because I record the audio, I had to script it, all the other stuff. I have to do the editing. That's the final part. Some people just don't get it. They like to imagine the world is righteous and fair. Yeah, and I even brought up in my message the bimbo that I frequently mention, and I always mention her because I've never followed someone else's story so much. Because, and I maybe I haven't properly articulated it, but the reason that she gets reference loss because that was someone I was friends with up until 2 or 3 years ago, and that was an individual who I know a lot of stuff about because they told it to me. They said they never approached, and yet they were still able to get a partner who not only paid for their thing. I mean, it's just like I'm not saying random stuff that I can't prove. That's what I think is crazy. That people try to gas you up to believe something, and then when you actually have evidence to go along with your position, they basically, that's when they usually concede or they try to still argue with you. People just love debating stuff. I really do want to make a documentary on W. Bush because I'm so goddamn sick and tired of watching these people pretend like he was good because they're on their little Trump derangement syndrome fest. But that has to come after a couple of other things that I'm going to do. Referring to projects, of course, because with that I need to basically um, decide how it's going to be split. Yeah, it'll probably end up being at least 4 or 5 hours long. But I don't think it's gonna be one. It'll be about maybe 3 videos. I don't have one, Slum Digger. I'm just there's too much nuances for me to select one in general. The rankers don't even have one. They usually just stick with the top 3 of Washington, FDR, and Lincoln, switching back and forth in a little loop. So, a lot of you'll find a lot of people who pay attention to this stuff don't tend to have a favorite one. Like, if you ask me who's my favorite senator, I couldn't tell you. I have favorites, but, I'm not I'm done. There's too many of them for me to go, "Oh, this one is so great." So, that's how I answer that. There's a whole bunch of stuff I wanna do. I wanna make, uh, documentaries on the 9 Supreme Court justices that were on the bench when I was born. I wanna do all the governors of California after Pat Brown. There's a lot of things you'll see at some point or another. But usually I write a script and that requires research and looking into the stuff. Not enough time in the day. It's just it's gonna require multiple years to feasibly do all of that stuff. Just like there's a big part of me that wants to do um, a lot of the Senate Democrats because a lot of them actually have done some pretty significant stuff that doesn't really get highlighted. Like Slum Digger, if you were around in the political scene during the last presidential election, you saw people who spent literally years pissed off at Warren because she didn't endorse Sanders during the primary that time around. And then the one senator that did endorse him, Merkley from Oregon, they act like he doesn't even exist. So you'll punish someone for doing what you consider to be the wrong thing of not endorsing this man. But then when someone does endorse him, you treat him like crap anyway. Or you ignore him. I just don't get how you punish someone so severely for doing the wrong thing, but then you don't praise someone to any extent for doing the right thing. No, I'm good. I probably would do that for like the cartoon stuff if I ever was making that on any kind of consistent basis. I mean, most of it is political here anyway. Only time I talk about the chick stuff is if it's during a live stream or if I get pissed off enough with them to let's see. I just want to see you win, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, these websites are a joke. All right, let me grab this link, send it to this person, see if they're gonna show up or not. In the world, send him this. Yeah, I do have people who are trying to scapegoat me. My mom tried to set me up with one. Oh, I wonder how that went. I hate that blind date stuff. That's terrible. Yeah, you're supposed to talk to her and not even be able to shake her hand, much less kiss or sit next to each other or anything. So I said people they don't care. They talk a good game about the pandemic is such a big deal, but then you look at the stuff they're saying and doing, it's a complete reverse. Yeah, this was people are just weird, man. They don't even I don't know what's wrong with them. But I mentioned during the last live show that we had a person who did something weird, so it's just a thing I expect at this point. I remember I had this one individual who I was talking to last year, and we used to. They were a libertarian, but I didn't care because we agreed on a lot of issues, and then they just out of nowhere, like, I totally disagree with you on health. And I'm like, why do you do that? If you know you're having an enjoyable conversation with an individual with a different ideological position than yourself, and neither of you is arguing, why would you like that's why I said they just all have this thing about trying to screw stuff up. I don't know what's wrong with them. Oh my god, it's Music Fan. He finally returned. He was what do you call it, slitting his wrist over what happened on Wednesday. Oh, Slum Digger wrote, literally can't leave. She's like not getting any younger. She wants grandkids so bad. Oh, that sounds like a personal problem for her. Okay, what happened? What I missed? No, I was referring to the stream from last week. Crash Dummy, he briefly surpassed Hancock for writing the most comments on my stuff recently, at least out of this week anyway. So I guess thanks for that, even if you were writing some things I don't necessarily agree with. It's just funny that everybody was celebrating Cenk losing that congressional race like he's 90 or something, like he can't run again. Because if I ran and I lost, I would just run again. I probably I wouldn't quit until maybe after doing it 8 or 9 times and just, like, getting nowhere. Yeah, crash dummies over. Oh, by the way, that, I was trying to say earlier, there were some people who were asking me if I was gonna vote for Biden. I said, "I don't vote for trash," on the, was that the stream on Wednesday or was it Saturday? And there's actually a person who wrote something on Twitter that when I read it, I almost peed on myself. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. So I watch Romp Lacone. He's one of the co-hosts of Jimmy. He's been doing more of his own stuff recently because they're doing the quarantine over here and just in the just everywhere. So he hasn't been with him that much recently. But he he wrote this thing on Twitter that I've basically just been kind of going back to almost daily and laughing at. Let me see if I can pull it up and post it here. Uh, where is it? Okay, the eighth, and It's got 18,000 likes. It's deserved every one of those likes because it's very witty. So you can go over there and read it yourself because that pretty much summarizes the way I feel about this whole cycle. I see it as a repeat of the last cycle after June, which is when Clinton became the presumptive nominee. I just didn't care anymore. Like whatever. Just this completely neutral party. Like, well, yeah, that person sucks, and that one sucks too. This person says you are voting when you don't vote. You are voting for Trump. How the hell? That's what I said. Like these people don't even make any goddamn sense. If you vote for the other candidate, you're voting for them. But then if you don't vote for either one of them, you're still voting for the other person. It's like I live in a blue state. Does anyone know what that means anymore? A blue state that the Democrats have literally won every 4 years for 30 years. Man, let me tell you something. If Trump won California, I would literally film a video of me jumping off of a bridge and landing on my feet, like with one of those little extension cords or something, like a bungee jump, basically. I'll make that if Trump wins California. He's not going to win here. And Biden's not going to win Alabama. He's not going to win South Dakota. I wish people would stop playing this stupid game where they try to pretend like your vote matters so much. Besides, if it mattered that goddamn much, we wouldn't have these low voter turnouts and all these Senate and House elections. Told you, it is the craziest thing in the world when celebrities who literally spend an entire 4 years not talking about any Senate races, any governor races. Oh my God, it's a presidential election. You gotta vote. You gotta vote. Shut up. Besides, you're the one who's upset with me not voting, not the other way around. Always crying. He didn't vote for this Democratic candidate, so now Trump is gonna win. I could have voted for him and it still would have made a difference because my state always votes for the Democrat. Like by ridiculous margins too. Listen, anytime a state has 60% of its people voting for one party, don't even waste your time over there. Like if I was the Democrats, I wouldn't bother campaigning in Alabama. I wouldn't bother campaigning in South Dakota. The only southern states where they have a prayer in are Florida, Texas, and maybe South Carolina. That's it. And I guess, yeah, Kentucky, because they did win the governorship over there. But the rest of them, close up shop. Places like Louisiana, how do you get mad at someone exercising their right to not vote? Yeah, I never understood that because I don't like. You could have. Let's pretend Sanders or some person I liked had won, like Yang or Gabbard, right? And then you had some people going, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for them." I wouldn't care. That one person on Twitter isn't going to determine this election, especially if they might live in a state where they're not even a swing voter anyway. They act like everybody's in Florida or Pennsylvania or Ohio or somewhere else that actually matters. Like I said, if voting was really so important, why the hell do none of these people ever raise hell about any of these Senate or House elections? When's the last time you saw one of these celebrities campaigning for a Senate candidate or a House candidate? I'll wait. I'm waiting. Slum Digger says, do you think that two-party system is really the best way to politic? No, what Dore was advocating for and what I support is a group of people, about 5-10% of the US, voting for the Green Party so that they can get state funding and just be taken as an actual credible threat because if you have a solid fifth or tenth of the Democratic voting base supporting a party that's not the Democrats, they're screwed. But they don't. People are not that organized, and they do fall for this. Oh my God, the lesser of two evils. And I've loved the examples people have given dismantling that. Where they were Music Fiend. I don't know if you've seen any of Jimmy's stuff recently, but it's. I think on there they had someone who said, if you do the lesser of two evils for other stuff, would you rather leave your child with a pedophile or or a meth head? You're probably gonna pick the meth head, but it still sucks. Hey, you saw that new outro he has where instead of the man, the first time I saw that, I just almost wanted to I almost fell on the floor where he, instead of putting the Patreon plug and the live show plug, he says, this is the part where I would say go to our live show, but there aren't any. And this is the part where I'll tell you to join our Patreon, but no one has a job. Oh, let me read your comment. The same people saying you have to vote aren't as democratic when it comes to the economy or the workplace or the idea of having more than two parties. Exactly. And you never see any of these bastards talking about ranked choice voting. They just want to sit there and basically shame you after a candidate that they support because they don't like the other person wins an election. They don't have to appeal to you. They don't have to try to campaign. Nothing. Told you this election cycle, along with the last one, are just proof that Democrats like entitlement. Like most of the states Biden won, he didn't even go to. And then they wonder why they get smashed in the general election when they do the exact same stupid strategy. The meth head could sell, but he kid to a peddler. You get the point. Crash Dummy says, in fact, you cannot even be apolitical anymore. No, you can't. People will drag you into this stuff, kicking and screaming. And I told you, I had a guy who got mad because I wouldn't argue with him. Like if I argued with you, you would be upset because I don't agree with you. If I don't argue with you, you're upset because I won't argue. Oh my God. I'm perfectly fine with ill informed people not polluting the political process, even if it doesn't benefit my side. The system is, man, you could have used the bad word. I'm not the swear police. I only don't say them because you have idiots who try to use that to write someone off. Like I've tried to show Jimmy's videos to people who curse and they're like, all of this bad language, this profanity. It's like, man, I see what the Republicans were talking about when they said snowflakes. Because the most offensive thing to you about a video addressing the fact that these people have bombed a bunch of innocent, helpless individuals across the world is that the person reporting it swears. Yeah, we don't need you watching this or trying to get informed. You're a waste. No one cares about politics. It's all high school popularity contest. Well, they try to pretend that they care, but then when you actually look at the stuff that they do during it, there's not that much logic to it. Like a lot of these people will tell you, if Trump gets a second term, who knows what horrible things are going to happen? And I said, if the Democrats had the Senate and the House, and they were actually, let's say, because they have majority in the House right now, well, if they had a supermajority in the Senate, 60 plus seats, Trump literally couldn't do anything. He would just be president for 4 years, having everything he wants to do get overturned, and like they always make it seem more simple than it actually is, or like the presidency is the emperor. It's like, what the hell's the point of the Congress if you guys don't even whatever? So I said Democrats are probably going to lose the House in maybe 4 years, and I really don't think they're going to get the Senate back. Or if they do, it's going to be some itty bitty 51-49 or whatever. I had this one clown who predicted that after the last midterm, the Republicans are going to have a supermajority, and they only won, I think, what, 4 seats. It's like somebody lost how to count. Oh, Envoy, I want to ask you a question because you like my show. Would you rather have 37 this week or wait 2 to 3 weeks for both it and 38? Because I have most of 37 done now, but I didn't know what you would prefer. If two of them come out together, but you have to wait a little bit longer, or if you have like basically expedite 37. People are begging for tyranny at this point. Yeah, that's why I can't take them seriously because like they'll tell you, "Oh my God, believe all women," and this is literally the first election cycle ever where both of the major candidates have multiple sexual assault allegations against them. Okay, then all right, if that's what you want. Yeah, if I get anything identical to what I want in terms of people recording lines, you might be able to get 39 and 40 next month. I don't know. Because again, a lot of times that's to do with if people record stuff. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, you're definitely getting 37 this month. There's no question about that. Man, when I got those lines on Wednesday, I almost wanted to jump up and start dancing. That's the first good news I've heard in a while. I always thought of getting into politics, but man, I would not. I mean, I would run just to run. Like you have nothing to lose. Oh, they're gonna smear me. Well, they did already. It's just a little bit harder because of the virus thing. So, is he gonna make some food soon? You seem to always stream when I prepare meals. Well, it's always at 6, so that seems more like a problem with you than me because I don't know when you make meals, sir, and you know that. Catch me on the debate being as disrespectful as possible. Told you, Envoy, the first time ever that both. That's why I said this is a couple of gropers. The election. Every time we do news on Biden or Trump now, we're gonna just and it's having to do with. So if it's a Biden story, it'll be referring to the election. With Trump, it might be something that's not relating to the election. But anytime there's a story with Biden, we're gonna say, all right, in today's edition of a couple of gropers, the election cycle. That's why I said the U.S. is so full of crap. Nobody cares about no rape victims. Because literally every time some broad comes out and says this person touched me, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, people who are on the opposite side say, I believe her. This person should resign or drop out. Ugh, they're so gross. And then the ones on the other side go, it seems awfully convenient that she's coming out and claiming these things. Maybe she doesn't remember properly. Or maybe she's a Russian asset. Or maybe she's trying to help someone's campaign. They always do that. When the chicks came out against Trump during the last election cycle, oh, they're trying to help out his primary competitors. Then the general election, they're trying to help out Hillary. When the broad came out against Biden last year, they're trying to help out Bernie. She endorsed Bernie in the last primary, even though he himself never said anything about Biden being a groper because he's nice. Um, but then in the last couple of weeks with Tara Reid, she's a Russian asset, even though she worked for Biden 20 years ago, and we know that for a fact. A couple of gropers, the election. That's a good name. You know what? I might make this might actually be something I do. Make a documentary on this election cycle and call it 2020 A Couple of Gropers. That's what the title should be. Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with these voters? And look, if it was just Trump that had them, whatever. But both of them, like think about it. Sanders didn't have any of this. Buddha Trash didn't have any of this. None of the chicks had it. Like out of the whole field, you picked one of what, two people that had allegations against them about this? It was him and Bloomberg. What a bunch of clowns, man. Like I'm so over these voters. Like if I were to ever run for president, the one state I would X out, not visit under any circumstance would be South Carolina. They ruined everything. Back in molesters. I usually don't like throwing opinions on stuff like this, but if this country genuinely thinks that both of these gropers are the best we have, then what does that say about respecting women? It means that they don't actually care about the treatment of chicks. They just use them as political props. That's why I mentioned that when Tara Reid came out against Biden, all of these people who were supporting his campaign labeled her as some secret plant by the Sanders campaign to rig it against him. And it was the same thing with Trump's voters, not voters, his campaign officials when the chicks came out against him last time. It was all a scheme by Ted Cruz during the primary and then by Hillary during the general. Like, that's all. They don't matter. Chicks do not matter. They're just a tool that we use for these elections. That's why Music Fiend, when you see those little stupid conservatives going, Ted Kennedy killed a woman, Ted Kennedy killed a woman, they don't care about Mary Jo Kopechne. They only want to use her to bring down the arguably the greatest senator of all time. She could have been killed by anybody else. They wouldn't have mentioned her. That's all chicks are in politics. If they're not an office holder, uh, they're basically just like a convenient tool to be used whenever someone wants to defile another person's record. Envoy says they use them to score brownie points about the masses to make them seem earnest and honorable. I call BS. Yeah, because both sides, literally, their current nominees, for the first time ever, both have accusations against them. 40 to 50-year-old douchebags with loads of money can swoop in and be as horrible as possible. Yet my man JD and other men in their teens and 20s are having the lowest rates of companionship in years. Like there is nothing else to do but laugh at that. Yeah, where she was doing like the Me Too thing, and then after Tara Reid came out, shh, be very, very quiet. So I said nobody cares about chicks. And people know it. They don't like that. That's the quiet part they don't say out loud, that you can go through the history of both parties with different candidates and they use them to try to bring somebody else down while pretending to give a damn. Look at the Roy Moore situation. All of these look, whatever you think of him doing it. He ran for office 5 times in Alabama. No chicks came out. They come out. Gloria Allred represents them. Oh my God, we need to get this man. He loses the election. They all vanish. You never hear anybody say, "Oh, we need to make sure he goes to jail for what he did to those," because no one cares. It's just a tool. Only time I can think of in the last, like, since I've been following this stuff regularly, that the person who did some nasty crap actually went to jail was Wiener. Outside of that, hey, it's just a couple of statements of people condemning you for what you've done. Then you resign, and that's it. They don't care. They care more so about virtue signaling, but they don't do it out of the goodness of their hearts. They do it to show people, hey, look, I said something virtuous. Well, I was saying they do it to get votes and convince you the other side is immoral while they themselves are also immoral. Literally, and if either side brings up that, like with the Trump Russia stuff, right? Yeah, Trump was so bad. He colluded with Russia. Well, Biden had his son getting thousands of dollars every month from Ukraine just for being the son of a sitting vice president. So like stuff like that, where now all of the things you can say about Trump, you can say about Biden. That's why I told you that these voters are idiots. And I don't even care about saying it anymore because it's true. Like you had all of these other people who don't have these damn blind spots, and you voted for the possible molester, the man whose son damn sure used his office to enrich himself. The man who can't even remember what state he's in, the man who confused his sister for his wife. Like what the hell is this? That's why I said it's the Twilight Zone. Nepotism is everywhere. Well, look, okay, Music Fiend. The point I'm making is, you will see people who don't like Trump say Ivanka and Don Jr. and whoever the hell used his position as president to make themselves more money, but so did Hunter. Like the point I'm making is, if you want to criticize Trump for doing something, Biden literally has the exact same, I guess, skeletons, but whatever. People people don't care about those ones. Told you, man. I don't know. Like the voters must have been drinking the Kool Aid or something. They're just no sense whatsoever. Like even with the Hillary thing, when I was really sick of them for doing that, I said, okay, they're on their little yes queen vagina, you know, tour thing of, oh, we must have a woman. Like that at least, even though it was stupid, still made a little bit of sense from that whole, because that's what they do. They try to trick you into voting for horrible candidates because they're, some minority or gender or whatever. So with Biden, like I don't get it. It literally is just Trump derangement syndrome. Like screw actually fixing anybody's life or voting for someone that's actually going to change stuff. Just no, let's go with whoever we think can win, even if we can give you 10 to 15 different reasons for why he can't. But whatever. This is why I don't respect politics. It's not about morals and ethics. It's about who's doing it and who's not. And that's the thing. They're both doing it. Like what the? You know what, Envoy? Um, I'll put it to you like this. During 2017, right? That was kind of like the what's a good word to characterize that year? That's the year before the Me Too stuff really started kicking off. And you had the Democrats all call for Al Franken to resign. You had them get rid of Conyers. Um, they were all going after Weinstein, even though he had been their friend in the past. My point is that between these two election cycles, there was this narrative by the Democrats that they were so opposed to women's accusations not being taken seriously. And look who they all endorsed for president. Like literally the only senator I can think of who the only one who endorsed Sanders during this cycle was Leahy. Everybody else either neutral or they endorsed Biden or somebody else, or you get the point. Like the same group of people who wanted you to believe the era of treating women so horribly and them not being taken seriously is over are have a literal accused sexual predator as their nominee. Like what the? Like I'm just gonna put it to you like this, and I'll get off of this topic in a minute. I didn't like Buddha Trash because he sat there with his little Medicare for all who wanted scam, but he didn't have molestation accusations, along with literally everyone else in the field that wasn't Biden or Bloomberg. So this could have been prevented very easily, but voters, like I said, when you get them into that thing of we have to get rid of who's in the White House no matter what, they don't care. Don't give yourself a headache. You, myself, and Music Fiend understand the idiocy of this situation. It's not even about the idiocy, it's about hypocrisy. I watch these clowns, whether it's Gillibrand, Harris, whoever the hell, all sit around going, we need to take women seriously and Trump should resign because we believe in the accusations that are being made against him. And then look who they all endorsed for president. Told you that from now on, I'm not even going to say Democrats anymore. Or if I do, it's going to be for people in the party that I still have an itty bitty amount of respect for. I'm just going to call them the dingbat crats, or the Demo clowns, because this is buffoonery. Something's really wrong with these people. And it's like, we watched the thing with Gabbard, right? And it was really frustrating to see her endorse Biden. But she didn't do any of the virtue. See, this is why I kept trying to explain to people that a lot of times they don't get the nuances of each candidate. You literally, would be seldom pressed to find Gabbard sitting over there going, "This person must resign for sexual assault allegations." She stayed away from any of that crap. It was always policy oriented. So when I watch someone like her, who apparently is anti-war, support a guy who was vice president when the U.S. went from 2 wars to 7, it's literally the complete opposite. It makes no sense. Accuser under the rug is outright amazing. All right, let me read this. There's a Dua Lipa song that highlights how women have to mature faster due to possible masculine aggression and being taken advantage of. To see female politicians and journalists sweep the accuser under the rug is outright amazing. Well, I never believed that chicks mature faster because, I mean, I can give you a bunch of examples of, you get what I'm saying, man. I just don't buy it. I think it's just a thing people say. Notice how they always try to use sexual scandals, sexual harassment, and assault to smear these politicians. Look at what happened with Cenk. He wrote some, whatever blog post. Again, keyword is he wrote, not touched anybody. He wrote something that they were so disgusted by, and they made him out to be, as Jimmy said, Jeffrey Dahmer. Like you would think he had. You go to his house, you can see half his heads in the freezer and stuff. They would do the same thing with this content. They would go, look at what he said about these women. The thing is, I'm not going to apologize for it. All of it is true. A lot of these chicks waste men's time, and the ones that are in office are a bunch of cowards like the men. That's why female senators and representatives, whether they're on the Democrats or Republican side, are endorsing and supporting likely molesters. So don't come to me pretending that because someone has a vagina, they're suddenly courageous. That's anything but the truth. Music Fiend says, nah, I feel you, but my point is if you ask those same female politicians about this thing, they would agree. So knowing that they feel that way and they actively discredit a vulnerable person, wow. Because they don't care. It's about enriching themselves. That's what I hate so much about uh, this whole process, that most of these people are there just to do whatever they can do to keep their job or advance their own career. So if you got to sweep stuff under the rug for a likely molester, hey, it's cool. And it's not even just a molester. Now it's a molester who can't even remember where he is half the time. Like Biden should be in a rocking chair, which is where he probably will be in the next couple of years anyway, when whoever the VP pick is takes over, when he steps down after a year or two, if he wins. Yeah. Popular for all the wrong reasons. Like the guy who Social Security is so popular, right? But the guy who led to the fight to cut Social Security, the guy who, as vice president, was part of the grand bargain, which was an attempt by Obama to cut Social Security. You have a lot of, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. No, I will say it. You have a lot of black voters who get told by these Democrats, these liberals, the reason blacks don't get married and is because the school to prison pipeline. It's like, who wrote the 90s crime bill? But guess which state and which set of voters massively supported Biden? The black ones. So it's like, what more is there to say other than state that this election cycle is literally the Twilight Zone personified? A guy who didn't even visit most of these goddamn states wins most of them. Like, look, whether you didn't like Trump or not, he was everywhere during his first campaign. He was holding rallies all over the place. Biden just sits at home, vanishes for a week or two. Ooh, I won this state. And that's normal. So this is an L for the Democratic Party. This is an L for the voters. I mean, it's just buffoonery, just complete idiots. And like I said, I'm not mad because they didn't vote for Bernie. I'm mad because they voted for this one. Like it could have been Bloomberg. I would say the exact same thing. Anybody else you would not have this molester thing attached to. Let's see, out of what is I'm trying to think what the actual calculation is. Two is what is that? A 12th of 22? Is that correct? Yeah, no, it's 11, my mistake. So an 11th of the candidates had sexual assault allegations in the Democratic primary. I think it was 22 people that ran, whatever. It was point is over 20 people ran, only two of them had these accusations. And you picked one of the ones with accusations to run against a man with accusations. I mean, I'm really mystified. Some annoying SJW chick. Man, Ruben, I didn't even notice your comment. I'm sorry. On Twitter called Beth Lynch, who supports Bernie, is getting accused of being a convicted sex offender by resistance losers. Yeah, they're just trying to say whatever they can to make themselves look good. Democrats wanted Kamala Harris to be the eventual winner of the Democrat Party. Hey, look, she if she had won, she wouldn't have the Pocahontas crap that Warren has. She wouldn't have the molestation charges that Biden has. She'd be able to remember what goddamn state she's in, unlike Biden. I just think she all around would not have a lot of the blind spots that the one they picked has. Well, look, they were all if they called her a socialist, they were going to do that to whoever won. So, and like I said, even if that's not the person I would have preferred, that's at least someone where I still get the little like identity politics thing with oh we want a woman to win. So I'm just saying I don't even know who to vote for, man. It really amazed me how Biden won Michigan instead of Bernie, shaking my head. And the only answer I get why some blacks or people don't vote for Bernie is because socialism. Hey, well, thanks for giving Trump a second term. That's some good socialism for the Republicans. Great job. Good job, guys. Terrific. I'll vote for the Green Party person. Was it Howie Hawkins? Hell, I might even try to send him a tweet saying, "Does he want to come on my channel? We can interview him." Okay, Music Fiend said, main point, everybody is an opportunist and the culture shows that money trumps everything and gratification must be instant. Well, I mean, that's why I never got about these Justice Democrats because they run for office. We don't have time to compromise. We must change things tomorrow. And then they get in office. I am playing Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats. And we are slowly changing. It's like, man, how do you do that? Like, oh, 30 million people don't have health insurance. We can just wait 10 years to get single payer passed. Damn, that's why I said vote like just buffoons. It's good to know, Ruben, because I've seen some people who are trying to swallow the bullet or bite the bullet and vote for Biden, and I will never do that. Not at all. Oh, I did vote for the Libertarian last time, Young Link. That was what Gary Johnson, and then his VP ran for the Republican nomination this time and got one delegate. That's how you know those people are like a factory of drones. They all just think, yes, let's all vote for Trump. All of us. None of us can disagree. It was like 100,000 to 9 million votes. Just got completely smashed. Let me see where it is. Where's the? I'm trying to see that I missed something. It's easy to convince an idiot to vote against their own interest. Yeah, but it's easy to get frustrated with that idiot when you try to explain to him or her why they are voting against their own interest. I still believe that the Democrats plan to replace Biden later. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff about Kumo and him, supposedly taking the reins. and this Corona thing being a testing ground for that, which they can have fun, but it's really stupid because it's like you're basically saying we just wasted a whole year with all these damn candidates so you could pick somebody after the voters, whether I agree with them or not, chose to select a man who can't remember what state he's in, meaning that the primary didn't matter. Very brilliant. So many clowns, so little time. All of the Bush and Cheney neocons are supporting Trump this time since they're now assured that Trump supports their war agenda. That's why a lot more Republicans voted for him this time. Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think the voters are because that thing where they'll support whoever they think is going to win, like that weird thing people do where they have to be on the winning team at all times, no matter what the ideology is of the person who wins. They could run Charles Manson, and if he picked up the last three states, I got to go vote for. So I said something is wrong with people. They have like some screws loose. Ruben, the Republicans love their war agenda, especially if they start talking about China too. Given this whole, you can't say that word, or you get demonetized. I don't even want to use the nickname for it because they still might get me for that. I was like, I'll just be quiet. I'll hush. God, the voters are just. I don't know. Maybe it is kind of pointless to even bother running, like outside of for the House or Senate, because they don't have that same level of organization on the ground. Like when AOC won her district, Crowley didn't even want to campaign against her, which is a big reason for why she won. That people like to pretend didn't happen. In retrospect, they like to go, "Oh, she was just such an energizing candidate and got all these people to come out." It's like you're in a small district where the main opponent won't run against you. He doesn't campaign anyway because he believes that he's going to win no matter what. So, what did you really expect to happen? To have happen? Like with me, I can't even because California is one of the few states with a stupid jungle primary. So even if I got the most votes, let's say in the primary, I couldn't even rest until November because both me and the my congressperson would then go to the general election. So it'll be two Democrats against each other, just like it was with the Senate race. Both the last two Senate races, where it was Harris and Sanchez and Feinstein and De Leon. Man, I voted. I tried to get rid of Feinstein so badly. Said, remove this dinosaur from my Senate. Be gone. You and the rest of the T Rexes can retire now. God, they're just such a. Yeah, I think if progressives were smart, they would do like all that fundraising numbers. Ooh, Sanders was able to raise 30 million this month. They would do that exact same thing with the Senate candidates and the House candidates. I prefer they get the Senate back first because it's just a much more powerful branch. No one tries to put a treaty through the House ever, but they're not going to do that. So we're always going to have maybe like two or three progressive senators and then a bunch of neoliberals and then a bunch of conservatives. Oh yeah, we still have. I still. I was pretty busy yesterday. I'm going to do that third excrement employers video. When I counted how many places I did last month, um, let's just say again, it's the most of any of the past videos. I'll just keep leaving that hint. Like there is something wrong with my state. Feinstein has the approval of the Israel lobbies. I think that she has dual citizenship. Um, I'll have to look into that. I know she has the Israel lobby backing her. Where do you even begin with Cali? Like I said, they disgust me a lot of times, the candidates they pick. But when they voted for Sanders in this primary, that was the first time they've ever had a statewide vote in the last 50 years that I was actually proud. It's the only time. Because when they voted for Hillary, I said, "There's something wrong with you idiots, you buffoons, you surfer boy prima donnas." All the governors have sucked. Most of the senators have been bad in recent memory. I mean, first time ever that a statewide vote actually was worth the damn. Justin, it's your fault that Bernie didn't win because you didn't vote for him. Yes, I did. I voted for him, and my state did too. So if he lost, it's not on me, it's on you. Like I said, man, people are gonna write about this election cycle. The last one I actually liked was Pat Brown, so that's Jerry Brown's dad. After that, it's just been like Reagan got rid of free school out here. Jerry Brown is just a corporate shill. Newsom's a corporate clown, but because he's competently handling the virus, him and what's the other one, Kumo, are getting praised, and everyone loves them so much. Who else is bad? Um, Schwarzenegger didn't really do anything that was worth a damn. Uh, Pete Wilson killed the Republican. Like they will. The reason they don't win statewide elections anymore is definitely because of Wilson. That was the. I think he was the governor when I was born. I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, I had relatives who said they lived under 16 years of Reagan governing them, 8 as governor and then 8 as president, and how it was like a nightmare basically. I think the only out of the LA mayors, Bradley was good. Garcetti is, he's on his neoliberal thing. He's actually getting protested right now. People are taking their cars and going up to his house and honking the horn. Villaraigosa is goofy. I mean, we can go down the list. I think maybe Yordi was decent. I haven't seen as much stuff written about him. Yeah, but Music Fiend, what I mean by that is they actually lived in California when Reagan was governor. So then when he became president, they were being governed by him, not as closely, but still as a you get the point. It's because they were in his state when he was governor. That's what they were saying. Yeah, that's why I said I really think the older Bush is underrated and Reagan is overrated. Like they parallel each other. One is over rated, the other one is underrated. Because Bush was like the last Republican president to really try to do anything for the environment. Again, the older Bush, not the younger one. The younger one is horrible. Was garbage. That's why I said I still can't. When I read that he had a 60% approval rating, what was that, 2017? I want to just vomit because he left office in disgrace. Worst financial recession since the Great Depression, Hurricane Katrina, the longest war ever. Afghanistan started under him, Iraq. Mm-mm. Bolton is UN ambassador. Oh, hell no. And like I said, I was there. This isn't something I read in a stupid book. This happened when I was a kid. So to watch these grown adults try to pretend like that was just a difference of opinion. No, it wasn't. The worst one since the Great Depression. And we're about to get one that's about as bad as as that one. That's why I did that stream that Trump is the new Herbert Hoover. I did a video, I think it was in I think 2018 about the recession we were going to get, and it looks like we're getting it. And the best part about it is that we know for a fact Trump was warned about this virus and that he downplayed it. Oh, it's just a little thing people are going to get. So it's all icing on the cake. Man, Envoy, you should have seen me when I was little. And my grandpa would turn on CNN, and I'd be like, "What the hell is?" I didn't say that. I was like, "What's Iraq? I've never heard of that country before." Like I just knew this was just this random country we hated for some reason. No, I mean that we invaded Iraq when I was 5, and then we were like for as long as I could remember growing up, I would just hear about Iraq, and I never even knew what that was. I knew it was a country, but it was just you kept hearing about it. Oh, this is happening over there. Boots on the ground. So that was the point I was making. No, you had the commentators that would come on TV. Iraq is definitely planning to strike the US. They come on there and they get you to be all scared and fearmonger. I was a neutral arbiter. I didn't have any disdain for that country because, as far as I was concerned, if somebody was going to come and kill me, it was going to be some thug that was born in the U.S. You know, some domestic terrorist. Yeah, I didn't buy into it either, even at that age, because the adults around me didn't really seem to subscribe to that crap at that point. Let me see. Ruben wrote, okay, I recently found out that Bush Sr. actually favored the Democrats over Republicans and only became a Republican because his Nazi dad forced him to be one. Like I said, I think the older Bush is a very underappreciated president who, unfortunately, because his son was a complete screw up, is going to have his name drugged through the mud for all of history. It's a really tragic tale. Can't even say I like Bush without someone going, "You mean W?" That'd be funny if there's like an alternate timeline where the older Bush got like a vasectomy when he was 20 and never had any kids. So his son never, you know what I'm saying? That like that none of that would ever happen. It's so easy to sway people in either direction. You've got Americans who hate the nation with their soul, and there are those who will die for the flag no matter what. We also have those like myself who don't hate the US, but we're not gonna, go and die in some banana war so that some rich old clown can get even more wealthier. So there's a lot more gray area to it than, and that's why I got so annoyed when you had Trump tell the squad to go back to where they came from for criticizing the U.S. And his supporters were like, "Yeah, they criticized the U.S. You don't like it, you can leave." I'm like, he literally ran a whole campaign on how screwed up the U.S. was, how we were losing and not taking like. I'm the only one that remembers that. Really? No, nobody else remembers Trump's campaign where he was talking about how horrible the US's leaders were and how they're jokes and incompetent. That was just me that remembers that. I'm the only person that recalls, really, seriously. Just me. Told you, I don't know what happened to Biden because people have been playing clips of him from 2016, 2017, 2018, and he wasn't screwed up. It's only in the last 2 years that his brain just went to mush. It's actually it would be sad if it weren't so frustrating because we could have really gotten a progressive if the DNC wasn't playing all their little stupid games. And I really do, people are going to downplay Obama's role, but we know he had something to do with that because we had that news article that came out where he said, I would get in to stop Sanders if he was running away with the nomination. And then coincidentally, after that South Carolina dingbat victory for Biden, coincidentally, these other people get out who at that point really had no reason. Like Buttigieg had no reason to drop out. Apparently, he had more delegates than Biden at that point, which, if he did, just makes him getting out seem all the more suspicious and weird and orchestrated. So, everyone's favorite president who has a 60% approval rating for no goddamn reason other than people being buffoons has been helping to hinder any type of progress whatsoever. I remember Trump campaigning on the US being horrible. Trump has supporters that hate the US right now too. And look, I said before, I don't mind it when people criticize the US. It's a great thing. I praise Chomsky for doing that. But you're not going to pretend like he didn't do that prior to getting in office. And then when people do it after he's in office, they hate America. Obama had a similar talk with Dennis Kucinich, where Kucinich suddenly got on board with Romney Care afterwards. Prior, Kucinich was critical of it. Yeah, they sweep things under the rug by going and having a conversation with them. You remember that time Obama met with Bernie during the 2016 campaign, which, by the way, in retrospect, was so much better than this one. They met in the Oval Office. Told you he's been doing a lot of little behind the scenes dirty stuff that people just don't hear about. Like his first public event after leaving office was to give a $400,000 speech to Wall Street, and then his presidential library is going to make people homeless. Like that's why if I do the documentary on him, it's going to be multiple parts, and there's going to be a post presidency part where we talk about how even his actions since leaving office have still hurt the U.S. Like, how the hell? This is what I don't get about these people. They all agree everybody needs to have health coverage, but then they oppose single payer, and we're supposed to think that's normal. Hang out with British oligarch Richard Branson. Yeah, exactly. Him and his elite buddies still rigging things even after the election cycle is damn near over. So these people are just weird, man. They have no. That's the worst part about making those because it's like you lay the stuff at their feet and they refuse they reject the evidence. I think Obama's another one of those presidents where for him to truly get the reputation he deserves, which is to be acknowledged as someone who was garbage that people try to pretend was decent because he's black, you're probably going to have to wait until maybe the 2080s or 90s. Like you have to get to a point where everyone that was alive when he was in office is dead, because there's just too much like weird nostalgia and mysticism around that man at this point for anyone to have a serious like you saw what Bakari Sellers did to Sanders when he criticized him. Oh, Bernie 2020 died on Martin Luther King Day. So, you when those people aren't around anymore, you'll have an easier time properly conveying all of the just horrible stuff that occurred. And again, if you're a neutral arbiter, which is what I've tried to be, you'll say he didn't start the first two wars that were going on when he was in office. They were under Bush, but he continued them. And then his successor, Trump, continued them. The Democrats are cultish for Obama, just like the Republicans are for Trump. Oh, I know. And that's why, a lot of those blacks that voted for Biden voted for him just because he was Obama's VP. Like, they don't care about policy. They just want to beat Trump. And, man, who cares if 30 million Americans don't have health insurance, right? Who gives a damn if 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? Or 60% can't afford $1,000 emergency? Or 27% of the veterans make up the homeless? Or I should have phrased it as 27% of the homeless are veterans, but you get the point. Who cares? Who cares if both major party candidates for the first time ever are molesters? This doesn't matter. As long as we can feasibly think this person can win, we'll throw all of our supposed moral and ethics out the window. Told you that after this election cycle, the next time a Democrat wants to get on TV talking about we need to hear out the women that are accusing this Republican of doing blah, 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 I am going to laugh and turn to a different channel. We're not even going to pay any attention to that person because they are part of a party who literally nominated a man with sexual assault allegations after they spent 3 years pretending that they cared so much about the women accusing Trump. Obama supporters regularly bring up the tan suit, but fail to see that they act just as ridiculous with Trump. Yeah. Oh my God, I want a president who doesn't use Twitter anymore. Obama used Twitter, he just didn't use it to confront members of Congress. Hell, I think the last 5 presidents have all had Twitter, but the only one who's used it as an active part of their presidency has been Trump. Because Obama tweeted when he was in office, but it just didn't get any news coverage because they were kind of like little nice messages that people looked at and went, "Oh, he's so mature." Slap in the face to us, 66,000 homeless vets out here. Cost of living goes up every year. Inflation, like, wow, man, college students in debt, especially if work study is their primary. Yeah. That's why I call it the stream the United States of scams. They tell people to go to school and get a damn degree, this piece of paper, and then you end up going broke or trying to get the paper for a position that's not guaranteed to you. It'd be different if they said, you get this degree, this place will hire you, no questions asked. You don't have that. That's why I got out. I got out before I could get any debt. And now I have people who tell me to go back who want me to be in debt so that I can have a piece of paper that is not going to guarantee that I get the lifestyle I'd like. If I could ask him a question. Well, I don't need to ask him a question. I need to ask his donors questions because they're the ones who are running everything. So if I ask him why he implemented the ACA instead of single payer, I'd have to go ask the pharmaceutical industry. Remember, his whole cabinet was determined by Citibank. Just an empty suit. There is also Jeff Bezos. He and Amazon have enormous power over the Democrats. Yeah, I've heard about his influence as well. A lot has to change, man. That's why I was so hurt Bernie was unable to secure the presidency. Yeah, but again, that's because the Democrats did little weird stuff to him they don't do to other people. Remember, before his campaign even started, we get all these little stupid stories. This Bernie bro touched me and he put his hands on me. Not Sanders himself, his supporters. So he's supposed to take the fall for what other people did. But then when candidates like Biden or Trump get accused of touching people themselves, shh, especially in Biden's case, shh, be very, very quiet. That's why I said it's a scam. If they cared so much about women, they wouldn't pick and choose when they want to get upset over that. So that Me Too stuff is over. All big corps have a lot of stroke in the game. Yeah, they have undue influence. Like they really do not deserve a lot of the power that they have. Let me see where did I read everything that was posted here? Turn this other light on. Ah, I apologize. I'm gonna break my arm while I'm trying to have the proper lighting. Oh, yeah, it's just a bunch of clowns running the game and trying to grandstand and trick someone into thinking something. So if you see any more idiots talking about if you don't vote for Biden, you're voting for Trump. Remember what state you're in. As long as it's not a swing state, it doesn't matter. You could live in not even one for the Democrats. If you live in Alabama, no point. Trump's going to win it anyway. I think yeah, the last time the Democrats won Alabama was Carter. Jesus. I remember this one guy I was talking to. He said the Democrats are the like probably for the last 50 years, all they do is basically lose. Like between the 1968 election to the 19 what year was that? The 1988 election. The Democrat. So that's five election cycles. They only won once. And then after they won the last presidential election, which was the next one, the 92 one, they lost the House for the first time in like I think that was 30 years. All they know how to do is get whipped. Like you give them a victory, they'll find a way to screw it up. Oh my god. Democrats winning Alabama seems like an oxymoron. Well, they won it in the past. Besides, Democrats and Republicans have literally collectively won every state. Look at what was that, the 1936 election with Roosevelt? He won every state except for two, I believe. And then, Nixon blew out McGovern in 72. So, the states flip for everybody at some point or another. They don't do that as often at this point because politics is a lot more. People have like drone type brains now because of social media. So they'll vote for the one party over the other no matter what. And Doug Jones ended up being trash, and everybody knew that he was going to be too. Hey, well, you know what? At the very least, we're not going to care when he loses this year. So look on the bright side. At least if we had Roy Moore, we could we could have another example of how people don't care about allegations. But look, it was still proven that they don't care because after he lost to Jones, how often did you hear about the allegations being taken to court? What do you mean cover Al Gore? So I'm confused, but do you mean make a documentary of his presidential campaign in 2000 or his life overall? Like, what are you referring to? Because if I did his life overall, that probably would be two videos. You'd have one prior to the vice presidency and then one after the vice presidency, and then maybe possibly one after so maybe that could be three parts. Because that's what I try to do. If it's someone who's had some 30, 40-year career, it's usually multiple parts. Like if I did one on FDR, that thing would have to be probably 10 videos or something, 4 terms, not to mention being governor of New York. Jesus Christ. All right, yeah, his campaign. Well, I'll think about it. What I'm pretty sure Ruben wasn't his campaign manager, Donna Brazil. I think it is. Let me go look. Let me go look. That evil harpy. That's the negative legacy of that campaign. It was funny. Everybody was crapping on Jeff Weaver. That's Sanders's That was his campaign manager for 2016. But hey, I don't remember him losing, not even winning 10 states under Weaver. So Foz completely blew it. Yeah, it was Brazil. Ugh. I think Gore is very, very great on the environment. Probably male and everything else. I don't really dislike him at all. I mean, he doesn't do the circle jerk establishment thing where he stayed out of that last primary, and you know what I'm saying. He's not as offensive as a lot of the other ones. How did Al Franken get included into the Hillary circle? I don't think he's as trash. No, he's not. If I remember correctly, wasn't he one of the single payer co-sponsors? Isn't he one of the big reasons why people don't like Gillibrand because she was leading the charge to get rid of him? Which seems to be more of a growing concern in 2020 compared to 15 to 20 years ago. Well, that was one of the things I was saying that, but with Conyers, look, whether you believe the accusations against him, which I don't, he was one of the few Democrats in the House prior to last year to actually treat single payer like it was worth a damn. So it was like to have both him and um, Franken get removed, and they're part of among few Democrats in Congress who backed single payer, seems a little coincidental. Just saying. That's why I hate those accusations so much, man. Because they only ever do it to men. If I came out right now and said, I don't know, Hillary touched me, everybody would laugh. And with good reason, because they know it's not true. But with Reed, right? She was a Biden staffer. She came out last year. You have Trump on that stupid tape admitting, whatever. You get what I'm saying? That there's a lot more weight to the stuff that's said of those two. And unlike with the Republicans, see when they found out about most of the stuff that people said about Trump being a molester, that was after he'd already been nominated. The Democrats knew about this stuff with Biden while their primary was still going on, and they just kept supporting the dingbats. I'm sorry, the Demo clowns rather, Demo creeps, the vagina hive mind. Yeah, believe all women until it's inconvenient. That was how Gillibrand became the Me Too candidate, despite covering up sexual assault accusations in her campaign and her dad being part of the Nexum cult. Yeah, her campaign went down in flames very quickly. I don't even think it was September before she got out. I think her and Bennett are the only senators who on Wikipedia, their campaigns amounted to so little, they actually deleted the pages for their campaigns to where like her campaign is not even its own article anymore. It's just a section on her page. Ah. Yeah, these people, they always try and it just tanks. Democrats knew about Hillary Clinton covering up accusations about Bill Clinton and anointed her anyway. Well, that's because they don't care. Like I said, the only time people treat any of those accusations seriously is if they can use it against another person that's from the opposing party or some other candidate that they don't like already. So I said it's just it's a scam. Oh, we want you to believe we care so much about these accusations. What's that? My candidate is being accused? Don't believe her. Scam. United States of Scams, the USS. It would be funny if someone actually, like a House member, made a bill that made college free, and then what's something else that's stupid? What's another dumb thing that the US does? Like got rid of the wars, but it would actually be called the United States of Scams Act or the United States of Scams Prevention Act or something like that. Where they're just completely self-aware of how much of an oxymoron it is to say we can't afford free school, but then we spend trillions of dollars overseas bombing countries that most Americans couldn't even find on a world map. I told you people they pretend politics matters, but they don't really ever care about anything that's not a presidential election. Like I would literally be willing to bet that if you went around my state and you asked every person that's above the age of maybe what's a good age people get involved with this stuff? Maybe 18. Like just ask all the adults to name 20 senators, which is a fifth of the Senate. I guarantee you, you would get less than 2% that could do that. I guarantee you. Because people don't care. They try to trick you into thinking they care, but they don't. Where's the article? Supreme Court poll can't name. Let me see if I can find it for you. Here's the article that kind of goes with what I'm saying. Yeah, this came out. I think it was last year. Let me go look at it. No, the year before that. It says more than half of likely U.S. voters can't name a single Supreme Court justice, although 91% say the High Court has an impact on their daily lives. Now tell me how that makes any goddamn sense. You think the court matters, but then you can't even name anyone on there. And it's not 1%, it's not 10%, it's not 20, it's more than it's most of them. Let me get the exact percentage for you because I grabbed the headline and a little blurb of it. 52%. Can't name a single one. And look, I don't claim to be some genius who knows everything, but I damn sure could name at least half of the court. Usually I get like with Breyer, he's probably somebody I would forget, but as much as they were talking about Ginsburg last year with that stupid movie and Clarence and Gorsuch, and I think that was before Kavanaugh got confirmed. So at the time, Kennedy, Sotomayor, Kagan. It's like really people don't remember for real. Can't name one. God, what an embarrassment. We can't afford public health care here, yet at the same time fund a foreign country's public health care instead. Um, just another example of how hypocritical the US is. That's why I said the healthcare industry is a scam. It's all about making sure the private insurance companies price gouge you and make as much money as they can. All the people are sitting there going, "Oh, if you get single payer, the quality will go down of your healthcare." It's like, but you're telling me we have good quality when you can't even afford the damn prescription drugs because they get to jack up the prices to however high they want it to be. And like I said, neither Biden or Trump ever talked about education. So now that issue, at a time when we have student loan debt of what is it, 1 trillion, completely ignored. No, no, won't get discussed at all. Not one iota. Quality of my healthcare will go down. The quality is to begin with. Yeah, it already sucks. I mentioned that before, Envoy. My point is that now both of the major party candidates are going to get away with not talking about that subject, which is bankrupting a lot of people for an entire 6 or 7 months. And no one sees any problem with that. They're still going to vote for one of these people. Like they're both going to just think how crazy this is. Two accused predators. Um, I don't have a specific number on Biden's approval rating, but I can tell you that during the 2016 election, him and Clinton had the referring to Trump and Clinton had the lowest approval ratings for two candidates on election day. Regardless of how many people actually like them because they hate the other person so much more, they're both going to get at least 50 million votes automatically. I had to go to the ER for a dislocated shoulder, and the nurses didn't know what to do but try to drug me. I told them just snap it in place. They spent just like an hour just to find the big black dude that was around my height and that was already in the building, and he put back in place like nothing, and it cost $915. That made me say F America. That defense bill that was spent is ridiculous, man. That could have ended homeless vets' American hunger, but they don't care. The only reason they even care about doing anything about this stupid virus is because they're losing money because all the little workers that they pay pennies to begin with can't even show up. Literally, the only time they're ever going to be concerned with the welfare of most people is if it negatively impacts them. It's the same thing with the voters. Unless an issue affects them, they don't care. That's why you had all these older blacks in South Carolina and other states, because they were even talking about how Sanders got a high approval from the younger ones. They don't have to put up with getting incarcerated for smoking, weed or uh, not being able to afford going to school. So it doesn't matter to them. When I was talking to a lady like in Logic, she asked me if I had a relative living in Yemen because in her mind, her little sick, twisted, depraved, backwards mind, you can't have empathy for something unless it somehow directly impacts you. That's how these people work. They don't care unless they're affected by it. It hurts more having all these 5 feet tall nurses prop my injury up for the x-rays and ask me stupid questions the whole time. Yeah, people tend to ask a lot of dumb things. Oh, I didn't read this. By the way, I convinced them not to give me painkillers and it didn't even hurt when he did it. So that would have been another expense for no reason that they were trying to make you do. Now, where did Ruben go? He just vanished. He disappeared. Now, this is the Gropers election cycle, where we know whoever won made sure they touched a couple of behinds at the office. All right, cool. Yeah, this. I'm so done with Democrats, man. Like I'll say there are maybe 10 or 15 I like. The rest of them you can throw them in the trash because they vote for trash, uh, whether they're in Congress or they're just a voter, and then they expect you to have some respect for them. Airplane ride versus swimming pools. Oh, I get it now. That's where the airplane rides are where Trump would grab them, and the swimming pools are where Biden would grab them. Didn't he have some weird quote about liking having little kids on his lap or something? It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? people just like I said, I'm not backing any of these people. What's here? You guys run out of things to say. And hey, that's cool because I do feel rather talked out. Ben, both Trump and the resistance are increasing tensions against Latin America. Yeah, well, the resistance has been helping out a lot more than they care to admit. Well, it's just all kabuki theater. They try to convince you of something, and then they're secretly getting high fives on the back too. Like when all the progressives in the House voted for Pelosi as Speaker, or for that stupid corporate giveaway bill for virus relief. And they've had the man, Jimmy. I know you've been upset with him, but the progressive media has been like, look at what AOC said. It's like, yeah, but look at what she did. She voted for it anyway. Talking about, I actually did not vote for it. It was a voice vote. And then you actually hear the voice vote. It's only one male voice, which is Massey going, no. Oh my God. Like, who are they trying to fool? I don't know why they can't just admit, yes, I voted for this. I thought something was better than nothing. If you don't like me anymore, whatever. I'd have a lot more respect if they were just honest about their crappy vote, but nope. Have to, start playing Ring Around the Rosie, act like it didn't actually happen. Like we all just dreamt that. People is just embarrassing. They really, I think a lot of these politicians, uh, they want to like be friends with non-politicians, but then they don't want to recognize the fact that they actually are in a position of power. So when they get criticized, they get hurt and want to vanish. And like that, like if you're supposed to be changing things and you get into the crybaby mood because some talk show host like Jimmy or someone sitting on their couch like myself said something about you, why the hell would we believe you're going to be strong enough to fight against corporate industries? Like Sanders has been invited multiple times to go on Jimmy's show, won't go. And I got pissed with Tulsi for endorsing Biden, but she came on there after that and stood her ground. So if you're really, but Jimmy actually said this week on the show that AOC came on there one time, which she did, and then after getting elected, she just vanished. So she can't be asked anything serious by him ever. Like that's cowardly. Where you want to run on Twitter and you'll go on Fox, but you won't go to Jim. Man, that's why I said I'm just because like what gets me is all they have to do is answer a question and hold their ground. They're not going to get beat up. Damn. I guess progressive, the P in progressive stands for pussy, huh? Because that's what I would literally use to describe pretty much all of the progressives that are in the House at this point, other than Tulsi and maybe Roe. Yeah, that bothers me too about Bernie not going to Jimmy Dore's show, regardless of how I felt about him recently. Well, my thing is that when Sanders went on TYT, I had this idea, along with when Warren went on there, and then at one point O'Rourke went on there. It always boosts my perception of them because they're willing to acknowledge the existence of left wing media. So when you had Roe go to, he's been on Jimmy's stuff. He's also been on TYT. He's been on Tom Hartman. He's been on what's the other guy? the one with the beard. I'm forgetting his name. But my point is, when they actively choose to not go on these people's shows when we know that they've been reached out to, it's just cowardly. And again, it's because I don't see what you have to lose by going on that person's show. Some Netflix propaganda show for the Democrats. Oh, do you mean what's that guy's name? Is it one of the like what's that? What's I'm forgetting that clown's name with the big nose. Oh, Bill Maher is what I was trying to say because he did go on there I think a week ago, and I know he went on the View again where Whoopi was being completely rude. The View is just such a just oh I hate that show. They say some of the dumbest stuff in the world on there. Music Fiend says pussy progressives. Yeah, they're cowards. Where you're afraid to go on someone's show. It's like you're more likely to see AOC go to Yemen or Iraq or Afghanistan for a tour than go on Jimmy's show. At least when she goes on there, she's not going to get a bomb dropped on her. Yeah, I know he spoke to him. It was like 10 minutes. The only one he won't go on out of the like the big guys with 70, 80, 780, 700 or 800,000 subs is Jimmy. He's like the pariah for these people. They will not show up. If they don't come on my thing, it makes sense because nobody knows who I am. But the idea that like it's just stupid, man. They're a bunch of cowards for doing that. They coincidentally forgot who he is. Exactly. No, Kana went on there literally after like right after he became a member of the House. Because there's a clip of him on there from it was like February of 2017 at one of Jimmy's live shows, live performances. That's why I said Kana's just a better like he doesn't he's been on all of those shows. He's not like AOC. He doesn't use you to get elected and then vanish afterward. It's just the cowards express. Like I never thought I'd see the day that people would actually try to make excuses. Like, if you want to make an excuse for someone not having a vote, okay, fine, whatever. But you're going to tell me that in 2 years almost of being a member of the House, you can't sit down for one interview with one of the bigger progressive outlets? Seriously? Oh, he went to talk. Um, yeah, I don't remember who it is either. I can't go on Jimmy's show. He's going to say something mean. But Fox News says mean stuff about you all the time, and you went on there. She went on The View, like everybody but Jimmy. Told you there. It's just it's the cowards, the pussy progressives, the the scaredy cat leftists, the SLs, the SCLs. It's like you'll go on Fox News, but you won't go on a supposedly friendly outlet that might ask you a couple of hard questions. I remember that one time during the first Democratic debate of the 2016 primary, where Hillary was asked by, I think that was Anderson Cooper, where he said, "Will you say anything just to get elected?" Like, damn. It was just nice to see her getting like hard questions from the Clinton News Network. It was refreshing because you don't get that often. Snowflakes. Yeah, it's just scaredy cats. Don't be mean to me. I don't want to go on your show. It's like, what is that? And these are the brave progressives who are going to bring us single payer and the Green New Deal. But they can't even go on a damn show of a leftist person. Really? I'm thinking of just making like a separate account, like Twitter account, where I actually do post again, and just as a social experiment, sending a message to each of the different quote unquote progressives in Congress and seeing how they respond or if they respond at all. Because you know what it is, they think they're too high and mighty to come on this. They don't want to. I could pre-roll them the questions. I literally one time actually tried to get Mike Gravel to interview him, and I never heard back from his campaign. I even went to their website, used their email, nothing. It's like you got nothing to lose. You're not going to win anyway. But you know what it is? They just want to leech off of whoever has some big following. It's cool. I don't. That doesn't negatively impact my view of Gravel because he's first of all he's not even answering his emails anyway. It was those two, millennial staffers of his. Hey, but I am gonna make sure that whenever I do Massey's documentary, I'm definitely gonna include when he favorited my tweets because when I saw that, I almost passed out. I couldn't believe it. That's the first time any public official or member of Congress or anything ever, uh, I guess, acknowledged my existence. It was so nice. The closest we've come with that, but prior to that was when my congressperson sent out a robocall asking, "Hello, I am doing a town hall. Would you like to?" I was like, "Get out of here, dingbat. Go to hell." So yeah, the progressives are cowards. They're probably every one of them is going to endorse Biden. Um, we're going to have a Groper election cycle. Yeah, Ruben. I even screenshotted it because I wanted to make sure I didn't lose it. It was great. He is the only member of Congress ever to like one of my tweets. That never happened with Roe or Sanders or any of them. I was commenting on all their stuff pretty regularly. So now I can say the only person who ever favorited one of my tweets that was in Congress is the one that actually had a bit of a spine and voted against the virus uh, giveaway to the corporations with a coinky dink. So it's just a sad story because I don't believe these people are wise. I don't think they're smart. It just seems like they're all useless. Like we sit here, we give them thousands of millions of dollars to run for some position, then they get so scared that they don't want to go on any of the talk shows that'll ask them some serious questions while going on social media and complaining about how they're being treated so unfairly by the media. And then the same people who they're supposed to be enemies with, they're taking stupid pictures with. There's not a snowball's chance in hell. If I was a member of the House, I would take a picture with Pelosi smiling. You'd have to have one of those reporters come up and take the photo, and I would just be like this, not going like I'm some little kid and that got their approval rating or is getting approved by the leader. I remember the lady lacking logic was like, "Oh, people who are in Congress, they always take pictures with people they don't agree with." I said, "No, they don't. You don't see any pictures of Bernie smiling with Netanyahu. Look, if you want to take a picture with someone of the opposing party, that by itself doesn't bother me. If you and that like Sanders and McCain, for example, worked on a veterans bill together, so you can argue they had a good relationship without compromising their values. Like that's just it's a metaphor for how these people are so cozy with each other, smiling with the Democratic dingbat. Yeah, to hell with that. So I said it's just a bunch of useless buffoons getting in the Congress over and over. But like I said, also that if these elections really mattered so much, you wouldn't see people saying, make sure you vote for the Democratic candidate. or else you're going to get 4 more years of Trump. Because they spend 6, 7 months saying that crap, and then when they lose the House and Senate, I guess we'll just have to put up with him. We can't do anything. Yes, you could have. You could have campaigned aggressively for 60 plus seats in the Senate. And what's the number for how? Basically, if you'd had majorities, super majorities in both chambers, Trump would be screwed. But they don't do that because they don't care about actually stopping this man. That's why I said United States of scams. Bunch of tricks and trades. Don't get hoodwinked or bamboozled. How's your friend Ben doing? Yeah, he's not my friend. Not in the slightest. He's just another foreign head of state that's garbage, but unfortunately still keeps getting reelected. At least when a senator that I don't like gets reelected, I get to say, okay, that's just one of 50 states where people did not show up to vote the right way. Like I can always justify it like that. When somebody wins the presidency or the premiership, I'm just like, yeah, we get like with that thing with Boris in December, that last UK general election. Said, you guys really just turn this into Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. I mean, I probably would take Reagan out of that list you named right there. Let's see what else is here. Donald Joe, yeah. Part of the Gropers Golf Club, right? Everybody, imagine when they show up, they just have their hands out like this. Like if they're not hold, that's why they give them golf clubs so that their hands can be preoccupied. Because if they're not, they're just going to be. Oh my God! Just it's scammers, it's gropers, all of them together. Who wants to get molested? That's what they're doing at that club. Just touch, 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 and no one gives a damn. That's why after this, no, every time some chick comes out says, "Oh, this person touched me," I'm just gonna just sit there and throw my arms up because what's the point? We already know who's gonna take whose side. More hands on than TN with his third eye. Remember, he has that arms technique where he can make all the arms come out. That's what they have. But look, I'm gonna end this because I've been going longer than most of the live shows usually are. This was just a really ridiculous week. The only good thing that came out of it was me getting the lines for the next episodes of the show. I will not be voting for any gropers, molesters, or neoliberals in this upcoming presidential election. And both major party candidates suck balls just like last time. So, with that note, I thank you for watching. Have a good night. And if someone touches you, make sure that they're not part of the party that is going to sweep it under the rug. Oh, wait, both parties are doing that. So, you're screwed either way.